Hello everyone, this is Planckera, and welcome to my universe. Sorry for the slightly long loading screen today. I lost track of time while writing, and I was determined to at least reach 1,000 words if I couldn't reach my 1,500 word goal. And I did, so... but it meant that I had less time than usual to prepare. Anywho, this time, let's see... So, last time, I did a bunch of stuff in the background. I think it mostly looks okay. And I was starting on the leaves, and at the time, I was just like, man, these look terrible. And you know what? I agree with my past self. But I know what the problem is, so it's okay. But, before I get into that, I kind of want to fix the proportions on the squirrel a little bit. I do enjoy his chubby little body, but I think his head needs to be a little bit bigger. So... I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. But I think that's about the only change he really needs. So I think with his head a little bit more appropriately sized for the rest of the body here, he should look about as cute as I think is possible for Vermin. So there we go. Yeah, I think that's better. Okay. So I will just liquefy the edges back into place here. Means I will have to go over them real quick. But I kind of want to push his little nose down a little bit too. Squirrels truly have the derpiest looking little faces. So I want to make sure that I make him look sufficiently dumb. Unfortunately, he's still got that no thoughts, head empty kind of look to him, so I think it should be plenty easy. Okay. And then I'll just, you know, fix the edges, outline the fix the gaps and that kind of thing, but let me do a quick before and after here. Yeah, that's much better. Just a little bit more proportionate to the body. I know that squirrels do not actually have large heads like this, but I just think it looks better. Oh yes, I have drawn many a thing here. The end is approaching. I do think I want it to be a little more squished though. So while I like the sizing overall, there we go. So there to there. Yes. Yes, I do think that is better. Okay. The rest I think look fine, and I think all the birds look good. So that's really the only animal that I needed to change up. So I'm gonna hide my shading real quick, and I'm just gonna smooth out the parts that I just liquefied and whatnot. I just do not like how blurry liquefied makes things. I know! All of her food is getting stolen. And she's doing her best to come up and reach it, but she's got chubby little chibi arms. And they don't even reach above her head. Alright. Get the little nose in there, kind of fix the little furry texture I got going on here and around the eyes. Chubby and chibi, yep. Okay. So yeah, that should do it. And then there's a couple of kind of harsh lines in my shadows here that I gotta smooth out again. But that shouldn't take that long. Shouldn't be hard at all. I kind of like the extra little dark spot there, so I'll keep it. Okay. And then the next shadow layer, I think that's still fine. And then this guy didn't really get much atmosphere, so that was more reserved for the ones further back. But there we go. I think this squirrel now has a slightly more proportionate head, so I am pleased. And now I can get back into the background here, because man, do I not like the way the leaves are right now. But like I said, I know the problem. And now that I'm here, I'm going to grab my colors. I'm just going to go ahead and move them down here, so this way I can keep this on while I paint here. And I will add the tree colors that I got to it. There's 3, so I can't just put it in my foreground and background color and switch between them, so I'm just going to make a note of them down there. Okay. So the main problem is just that I have this all very uniform and consistent. And with the way that this kind of view is, there's going to be some leaves that are closer to us and some that are further away. And the fact that they all look pretty much the same is going to make it very unclear which ones are closer and which ones are further. I also don't really like this little bit sticking into the moon, so I kind of want to pull that back a little. I don't mind it kind of existing. That's fine. But I want to show a little bit more of the moon, so I will be adjusting all the trees accordingly. And I just kind of want some leaves to kind of overlay into it. Only some. But the main thing is that I just want there to be multiple layers of leaves. I may keep them like on the same layer in the program. This is not me referring to like a specific function of Krita or anything. This is just the ones that are a little further away will have some more light to them because they're going to be hitting the moonlight more. And the ones that are a little bit closer to us, not only will the leaves appear a little bit larger, but they will also be darker since there's going to be less light hitting them. So that's kind of the important thing there. And the way I had it before, they all looked like they were about equal distance away. It just looked very flat and that kind of thing. I found a quick reference for myself, so I want to go take a look at them again. Remind myself how forests look. You know, even though this is a fairly common view for forests, especially if you want trees to look really, really big, I've never actually drawn it before, so I do like to take a little bit of extra time to just take a look and make sure that I know what I'm doing. And this time, I think before I try to shade the leaves, I'm gonna get a better idea of where I think the closer and further away parts are. So that means I'm actually going to start with the branches this time. I'm not going to try to shade the leaves yet. Mostly. I might shade them a little bit, but I mostly want to shade with, or I mostly want to start with the branches. The main thing is that I know for a fact, I'm just going to start with all the information that I know in my head at the moment, that these up here are going to be well lit. The area near the moon, they're all going to be pretty well lit. So I want to make sure that, you know, this has that kind of view and that this makes sense to me. So there we go. These are the areas closest to the moon. Now I'm going to reduce the opacity on my leaves here, so that this way I can kind of see where the trees are. Okay, so I can kind of see where the leaves are, and I can kind of see where the trees are. So my goal here is I want to get a greater understanding of the three-dimensionality of the leaves here. So again, I'm just going to take a moment, look at trees, as you do when you don't know how to draw something. And I think I should actually have way more of the trunks showing now that I am taking a little bit more time to look at photos of trees. Yeah. Even at this angle, they're not going to be very much covered, and so I think I should actually reverse. I'm gonna go merge all these together. I think it's fine if they're all on one layer, and I'm actually gonna put the trees above my leaves layer. That already actually kind of helps. And then I'll just make... Yeah, I don't need a separate branch layer if I'm gonna do it like this. Okay. Getting somewhere. Let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna draw some big branches on some of these trees now. How do they kind of work? So... maybe I shouldn't have merged them so soon, but... you know, it's fine. I kind of want to move where they all converge a little bit higher up on the screen. So a little bit more like here. With these trees looking a little bit different than they currently do, I think. Yeah, they should all be kind of coming from the same direction. So I think that putting those up there was kind of a mistake. I might just start over. Sometimes it's for the best. Especially if I really don't like it, and right now I really don't, so there we go. We'll just have a clear sky for a moment. Okay. So just going to look at trees again. Oh, that one's quite nice. Okay. Okay. So I probably don't... I'm going to use the line tool to help me out a bit here, and I don't think I want the trunks to get too thick. Like, it would make sense to an extent, but it's not quite what I'm going for. I'm just going to draw them straight up and kind of long. And then I'm going to take the perspective tool. I think this is what I was doing when I was first trying to draw the trees. And then after a while, I just kind of stopped. Because it was taking too long, and I just wanted to get my ideas down fast. But now I think it's appropriate to be doing something like this. I think I want the bottom a little thicker. Just a little. Okay, I'm gonna slide this up just so we see a little bit more of that thick part of the trunk. Slide this down so we see a little bit more of that thin part. And I think that's the kind of perspective that I want. So rather than do that repeatedly, I'm just gonna go ahead and duplicate this one a few times. Adjust the thickness as I see fit, and we'll get lots of little trees this way. Let's see, do you look blurry? Not really. And you know, when the time comes, I'll make sure that there are some trees where the squirrels are standing, so this way they won't just be kind of chilling in midair like they are right now. But I gotta get the basics down. So I'll put a big one here. I'll even make this one a little bit bigger than it currently is. But yeah, I'll say, you know, never be afraid of just kind of redoing something if you don't like the way it looks. And I just felt like the structure of my entire forest here was just all wrong. So that seemed like a good time to just kind of go back and revisit what I was doing. And maybe find the source of my problems. And I think I did. So I think this already looks better, even though the trees are bald and the forest is not nearly as dense yet. But it'll get there. I'm not worried at all. Ah, I see. Well, it's okay. There will be VODs, and I mean, I stream every day. I think it's pretty unreasonable to expect people to show up every day. I think coming to streams should be fun, not something that you stress out over. Alright, so I'm gonna move this one over a little so that this way this squirrel is firmly on the tree. And I'll move this one over. No, not that one. Which one are you? This one. The last one I checked. No. Yes. The last one I checked. Here we go. So now this squirrel is firmly over here. And actually, you know what? With that squirrel, I think I'm going to do something a little different with you. All my squirrels are kind of pointed this way, and I don't know if I like that. So I'm going to grab the squirrel and the burger. To be fair, he told me about that, and I told him the same thing. So, yeah, no, I stand by what I say. Just come when you want and have a good time. No need to stress over it. There we go. Now I got that squirrel going a slightly different direction, and that should be pretty okay. All right, let's draw some more trees. All right, I guess as the case may be, copy and paste some more trees. I think I want this one to be a little bit bigger. Just have him kind of close off the side there. And then I kind of want to grab some smaller ones over here. Perspective-wise, I still kind of want to make sure that they converge in the same general direction, so I probably should fix that, actually. Look, I can give my opinion, and I will freely. But I can't make people do what they don't want to do. All I can tell you is that I don't take it personally if you guys can't show up every day. And thank you very much, Tito. I just want to tilt this big one over a little bit more. There we go. Yeah, I'm just kind of redoing a bunch of trees in the background because I did not like where they were going. So I'm fixing it. And I already like it much better, so life is good. Alright, let's get some more thin ones in here. So these thinner ones, I figure most of the trees are like roughly the same size. Yeah, you know, same order of magnitude kind of thing. So the trees that are thin are just further away. And I kind of want to shade them according to that logic. I'm probably going to have to change the color of some of these just for my own sanity, mostly. But let's see, I don't want to put too much covering the moon here, but I'll put a little guy here. Maybe have him just peek out a little above the bird wing. Yeah, that should look nice. But once I have the general gist of things, it should all work. I might even put a tree in the foreground. You know, if I was gonna do that, I probably should have done it more at the beginning, but now that I look at this little forest, I kind of want to. I kind of want to. Because I don't know, I just don't think it looks very dense. Let me turn my leaves back on, but yeah, I just don't quite feel the density. So I do think I probably need one in the foreground too. But that one is gonna get blurred a lot. So let's see, how do I want to do it? So there's my blur. How do I want to do it? Okay, so I'm just gonna get a really big line here, and I'm just going to flop it upward. I'm thinking about how a tree would look here. I mentioned earlier, I have not actually drawn a forest from this perspective yet. It's such a common way to do it, but I have never actually done it myself, so I'm still kind of feeling my way through. Still just kind of feeling my way through. Well, hello there, Blood Blood. Fancy seeing you here. I think Tails is getting her revenge on you harassing him while they were trying to sleep the other day. Let's see, is that correct? Or do I want it to be a little bit more like it needs to kind of cover things here, so maybe I should put it over on this side. But it's like if I did that, then it'd have to be facing this way. Art is hard, by the way. And that totally covers the squirrel and everything. So it's like if I'm gonna have a tree, it's gotta face away. But I kind of want to have a tree, so I'll deal. But I think even just the hint of the trunk here, I think it does what I want, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it below the bushes. Like, it needs to be above the grass, but below the bushes. So let's reorder the layers a little bit here. Just get it kind of peeking through. Okay. Yeah, I think that works. And then I'll just give it a little bit of lighting here, so just kind of plop this on. No, I don't like that color. I'm just gonna use the moon. I'm gonna just use the moon color, and we'll just light it very slightly here. Just some gentle kind of light, and maybe a little bit of bark texture. Just enough so this way we kind of know what it's actually supposed to be here. Oh, you're the light color, that's right. I forgot. Okay. No, that's not quite working. I'm gonna try again. It's okay. Let's try one more time, because I think I know what went wrong, so it's all good. I'm just gonna want a thin airbrush here. And then I think this is too bright, so I'm gonna go over it again, but I kind of want to get the texture in before I do. And I think that is sufficient, so that looks a little bit better. Yeah, and now I feel like she's a little bit more in the thick of the forest here. And then maybe these bushes. I think it's fine if I make them a little bit bigger in a few areas, just because they're blurry anyway, so who cares if they end up a little bit blurry. I'm gonna let it cover a little part of this squirrel up here. And then I kind of want to make this bottom one a little bit longer. I'm gonna have to pull some shenanigans for that, but that's fine. I feel like as an artist, you gotta get used to pulling shenanigans. I think it's like half the job. Okay, and then the ones on this side, I also want them to be a little longer. I don't want it to quite overlap with her hand like that. So I'm gonna move them up just a little. And unfortunately, this means that some of my hair might no longer make sense, but if I need to fix some things, that's okay. It'll be worth it. Fortunately, I think that's just a lighting thing. And it should all be fixed if I just turn off her lighting. Yeah. All is well. Nice. Okay, so I'm not gonna worry about that being weird for the moment. I'll fix it in a little bit. But there we go. I feel like she's a little bit more in the thick of the forest now. The trunks look nice. I am going to recolor some just for my own sanity, and it'll make sense with general atmospheric perspective. The ones further back should be a little bit lighter anyway. So I'll just go ahead, grab airbrush moon color, and we will just very, very lightly brush over it like this. And actually the tops of them should be a little bit lighter as well. So I'm just gonna do something like that with all of them. And hopefully the result will be a nice, dense looking forest, as opposed to whatever flat nonsense that I had last time that I hated. It's the entire reason I decided to give myself another day to finish this. Okay. I wish there was a good way I could name these layers so that this way I wouldn't just have to hide and show the layer a couple of times to know which one I'm editing, but, you know, such is life. The most I could do is like tree 1, tree 2, but even if I did that, I still wouldn't know which one it is, so I might as well just leave them all a copy of trees. It's fine. Okay, now the ones back here, these are not going to get any bark texture. None whatsoever. It does not make sense to put bark texture on the trees, I don't think. I mean, if you go out and you look at trees in a forest, you'll see the bark texture on the ones close to you, but on any that are even kind of far away, you don't see it at all. You just don't. Okay. So I want to get a slightly lighter color. So unfortunately, I totally killed my light color, so I'm gonna have to get it again. I'm pretty sure that's you. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna have to get it again. And you know, that's okay. I can do that. I'll just find a nice yellow here. That's good. I don't think I want it to be any lighter. And then I just kind of want to add a little bit of lightness to the side of the tree here. You know, maybe I should have done this before doing the blue light, but all these things happen. I'll just put it on with an airbrush instead. I just want a little bit more light coming in on the side facing the moon. And it's okay. If I need to paint a little bit more blue on top, I can do that. This one I don't think needs any, so we're good. But this is mostly reserved for the darker areas. And I'm painting a little bit harder here just to make the line look a little bit harder. I don't want it to be super soft gradation like it was for the blue. I'm on the right layer, right? Yeah. In fact, I would have preferred to do this with the hard brush, but with the choices my past self made, well, here we go. The me of 5 minutes ago did not think this through, but this is fine. I think it looks fine. Okay, next, I want to put some branches on. I'm gonna do the branches on a separate layer just so I can paint them blue as needed. Okay. Gotta look at some pictures of trees again. Just get an understanding of how the branches look. Okay. I think I got it. So I will want some kind of coming out like this. And this is a good time to get some stuff to overlap. I mean, even with just this one small branch, look at how much further away those trees in the back look now. It can do quite a lot. So I'll just, you know, plop some out here and there. I want them to be smaller as they go up. Because that'll make them look further away. And I can kind of let them go in a few different directions. Branches do that sometimes. Branches kind of do what they want. And this one's the one in front, besides, you know, this one in the foreground that we're not really going to see. So I will make this one have the most large and noticeable branches. That's also why I am drawing it first. And I think this is just a further proof that reference saves lives. It just makes everything so much easier. Because when I was drawing this the first time, I briefly checked a couple of references, but not really. I just kind of tried to intuit it, and it didn't really work. Which is why, you know, I'm here redoing it today. But this time, I took some time to sit down and really analyze what it is that I was trying to do. I want a thick branch coming through here, but I do not want it to overlap that tree. So that's where I erase a bit. We'll let some kind of go into the moonlight here, but they will be thin and small. This tree is far away. And I think it can be easy to forget some of the details on things that you think you know. Brains are liars, of course. Always. They will trick you if you're not careful. And you shouldn't let it happen. Like, I swear, they think they're so smart, but they know nothing at all. Okay, and I'm gonna have to fix this one up a little here because I want this one to be fairly big, but I want it to be behind this one here. So I will put those colors back on. There we go. And you know what? I think that's sufficient. So there we go. Now then, the leaves that I dropped into the background. Yeah, trees are back. Let's see, where do I want to plop these? I might just redraw the whole thing, honestly. I probably don't need to. Part of me wants to, but no, that's super unnecessary. Okay, time to look at my reference again. Just taking it step by step. Okay. So I think I'm gonna clear a little bit kind of back here. Gonna leave a little bit of open space. Just here and there. And then I want a few leaves to be existing in front of the trees. More leaves, okay. So we'll plop some on these branches here. Gonna check the references again and see what they have to say about all this. Okay. I don't want to overdo it here. I think it'll be very easy to do so, so I'm trying to be careful. Because, I mean, man, leaves are just so easy to draw. You just draw some little squiggles and suddenly you got a big bunch of leaves. So it's really easy to just go completely overboard, and I don't want to do that. I think that's enough. Well, maybe just a little bit more up here. Make the top of this tree feel a little bit less naked. Okay, but I think that should be good. So I'll want to zoom in and kind of perfect the shapes, but yeah, this is already just looking so much better. I am so much happier with this than what I had last time. Alright. I gotta look at the references again, because, you know, that's just what I gotta do. Just want to make sure that I have everything the way I want. And that I don't need to kind of fix everything, or that there's some details that I'm forgetting. If anything, I probably have too many leaves on the trees, like I said. Very easy to overdo, but I don't know, man. I want to draw them. Okay. So I think at this point, I can go in and start kind of smoothing everything out. And I think I have a decent layering of leaves going on here, so should be good. And from there, I can start, I don't know, lighting everything. And I'm going to get these foreground leaves first. And I definitely got to make sure not to cover my squirrels. The squirrels must be visible. And this one's fine. Well, why not? Look, if you're gonna have a random burger party in the middle of a forest, just cuz, like, of course you're gonna bring a bunch of burgers. What else would you bring? I think I'll put some tiny ones out here, too. Just some little leaves doing leaf things just right over here. Right here feels a little naked to me too, so plop some right there as well. Greed and short arms. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I think I'll just probably smooth this out at 100%. These are leaves. They do not need to be, like, super duper smooth. It probably actually makes more sense for them to be a little rough and bumpy. So there we go. 100% is sufficient. I might even plop a few holes here and there. Why not? It makes sense. Trees are one of those things where you can kind of do what you want. Kind of like hair. Hair, you draw almost any shape and it'll be recognizable as hair. Leaves, draw something vaguely bumpy. Well, there you go. It'll look like tree leaves. It's kind of magical that way. I want these to be a little more separated here, so I've got to pull this part back and just draw a few over on this tree. Maybe not there. Maybe more like here. I'll just draw a few little tiny bumpy shapes over here. I kind of want a little more leafy stuff going into the moon like this. That looks sufficiently leafy to me, so that seems fine. Then afterwards, I'll light this a little. And I'll see how that looks. I just kind of want to finish up the foreground. Well, I mean, it's all background, but the stuff further, or closer to us, before I get to the stuff further away. No, this squirrel isn't lit properly anymore since I turned it. You know what I can do? I can actually fix that with no effort. Just gotta find the layer. There it is. There it is. What, you mean I can't do both and mirror them horizontally together? Really? Okay. Okay. It's okay. I can do it separately. There we go. Now they are together again. And I will then select both layers, grab a squirrel. There. Now it's facing the direction I want and lit properly. I get everything I want. Heck yeah. Okay, where's my leaves? Here we are. Let's see. I think I'm actually gonna move these leaves in front of the squirrels. I'll just move them over to the top here. Oh no, I don't want them above the birds. Okay. I was gonna say, I'll put a few leaves above the squirrels. But the squirrels are on top of the birds, and that is actually necessary. So, you know what, never mind. I might still put a little leaf in front of the squirrel and make it look like it's in front of the squirrel via cutting the squirrel in half, you know, as you do. So, that's probably the easiest way to do that. So I'll just figure out which part of the squirrel to erase after I kind of have the leaves drawn. This way I know exactly which part I need to mask in order to make that actually look good. And I think I got it, so let's go ahead and do that now. I will just go right-click, add transparency mask, and then paint with black. There we go. Squirrel is now behind those leaves, like magic. And if I change my mind to move the leaves around, well, I did not get rid of anything on the squirrel layer, so I can get my squirrel back easily if I change my mind somehow. And you know, I might. These shapes are still very much imperfect, so. Let me just add something a little leafier here. This is looking very blah. Okay, that's a little better. That's a little better. And then, you know, much like I did with the branches and trees themselves and stuff, at some point I'll add lighting to make certain areas look further away and that kind of thing. I just kind of want to block them all in first and make things look leafy. Figure out which ones I actually think are closer than others and that kind of thing. But all of this right now is, I don't know, I'm just kind of exploring. Figuring out what I want to do, where I think some of these leaves should be. And mostly, you know, I just wanted to look more like this and less like this. So... just trying to get rid of the parts that look kinda blobby and unleaf-like. And the ones that are a little bit closer are a little bit less bumpy and a little bit more triangular, I guess. Since the kind of leaves that I'm picturing in my head are kinda, you know, leaf-shaped. And I'm kind of hoping that just the general silhouette of the shapes will make it a little bit more clear that these guys are a little bit closer than, like, these guys, where their shapes are very indistinct. Just little things. This one is kind of like a moderate distance, so I'm kind of doing a little bit of both. I don't want the shapes to get too distinct here. They're all just kind of blob together after a while, and that, you know, that's fine. They're kind of far away. And I'm pretty sure that the order I'm doing this in is completely nonsensical, but that is also fine. As long as I hit every tree, all is well. As long as every little group of leaves gets the texturing that it needs, all is well. Doesn't really matter what order I do it in. So I'm just kind of let my hand do it at once. When I let my hand wander, I find that the shapes I make are a little bit more random. So that is what I want for leafy shapes. And you can also see that I'm not using Krita's leaf brush here. I do use it sometimes, but typically only if you're fairly close to the leaves. Because otherwise I just find that it makes the leaf shapes too distinct and too looking like leaves. And when you're far away from leaves, they just kind of look like little blobs of color. That's what makes them so easy to draw. That's why you should never be afraid of drawing leaves. I mean, look at just the random little points I'm putting here and there, and it's working. Like, it's fine. Let a few kind of stick out from behind this bird. It doesn't have to be a lot of work. I'm even probably making it more work than it needs to be, but, you know, that's like my MO, so don't worry about it. Okay, so that's just a spot in the branches that I need to clean up when the time comes, and you know what? I think that this is probably fine. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna start with, I don't know, basic lighting. Most of these I think should still be fairly dark. Just because they are closer to us and thus farther away from my moon-based light source. But I do want to add some more little leafy shapes. I do. And then the rim here will also get a little bit of the lightest color. Just a little bit here. And I'll finish each group individually. I think 67% is gonna get me smooth enough stuff for this. So I'll just stay here. And then as I get further to this side, it's gonna... There's gonna be less and less light spots. Hello there, Blood Bullet. Welcome back. And I do think I want a light spot by this squirrel. I think it'll make him a little bit more noticeable in all this. Draw the eye there a little, but only a little. Okay, and then over here, get some vaguely light-colored leaf shapes. As always, you know, I'm just gonna keep going until I'm happy. I wouldn't know. I cannot tell when people are lurking or if they have left. Unfortunately, I do not actually get to see who is viewing. I only get to see the number. And frankly, while I'm streaming, I don't even look at it. So I don't see how many people are here until after the stream. It's actually pretty important early on because, I mean, for like the first year here, I had 0 viewers. And so it just made it easier for me to pretend like people were here and for me to keep talking and hopefully say something interesting. It was good for my self-esteem to ignore it. Oh yeah, I'm not bothered. I'm just happy that there are people here now. Like that, it was pretty hard to come here every day. When I knew that the odds of anybody showing up at all were pretty low. That's why I say. I think people could underestimate just, how much just showing up is important. Because I gotta tell you, watching those CCV numbers go from, you know, a constant 0 to closer to an average of 1 or 2, and now they're closer to an average of like 3 to 5, and that's pretty awesome. So I'm happy. Told you guys, showing up is big support. It makes me very happy. Even if I'm not looking at the numbers during stream, I do look at them after. And seeing that steady growth is... oh man, it's amazing. Even if you don't chat, I see you. I may not know who the username is, but I do see the numbers, and, you know, numbers are great. That is fantastic. Alright, getting somewhere here. I think I'm... oh man, maybe halfway through these foreground leaves? Yeah, don't worry, man. Like I said, I don't think... I mean, a stream should be fun, and not stressful. And sleep is important. So, you know, don't feel bad if you can't make it. I do pay attention to VOD views as well, so... And... viewing VODs does help me. As well. Even just numbers aside, I keep track of, you know, watch hours and various things like that. So even those I see too. And that's why I keep my VODs very easily accessible. Because I do pay attention, and anyone that's interested in what I'm doing, I want to make sure that it's very easy to get it in a way that works for you. Okay, I do think I will plop just a little bit of light over here, but this area is not going to get as much. It's starting to get kind of far away from the moon, so I don't want to put as much through here. And this one I don't think needs any at all. I don't think this one needs any at all either. Well, no. It probably needs a little. This one definitely needs a little. So I'll just go ahead and plop in some stuff here. I mean, sounds like mosquitoes. Sounds like what they'll do. Okay, and then here we'll definitely get some. Quite a lot, actually. This one's probably going to be mostly light. And here as well, I think. Okay, and there we go. I think that is good for here. So this time I was smart and did the shading first. So now I can freely add atmosphere. And it'll be easy. Just kind of pull the ones that I think are further back a little bit further back. And the ones that are a little bit further forward, a little bit further forward. No, you're reasonably far forward, so I'm not gonna pull you back too much. Okay, so there we go. That is first step done, I think. Let's see, is there any more that I want to pull a little further back? Maybe you. Oh, that's too light. Okay, yep, I think that's pretty good. So now I will go do all the trees. I'll start with the branches here. So this one I need to zoom in a little bit more because some of it is also like blending colors and stuff like that. So like I want to get rid of the color transition there. And I will go ahead and just put the atmosphere in for this guy. Okay, seems fine. Actually, no, this one doesn't have atmosphere, does it? Okay. I lied. I will give him a little bit of the light, though. Just right there. Okay. That seems fine to me. And now I just gotta, you know, smooth things out as always. The branches here I'm gonna make a little bit smoother. I don't think I need to make them as smooth as I do a lot of things, but as long as they're kind of making sense, it should be fine. Branches are kind of bumpy, it's all good. Okay, and then I think this branch is supposed to be in front. So I'll go ahead and fix that. The little bit of branching coming out here. There we go. And then I think this branch is probably supposed to be in front of this tree. So I'll go ahead and continue it further. Stop it up at this branch where it's supposed to go behind. And I'll even create another tiny little branch just so it can go behind this tree and maybe give a little bit more depth. We work hard for the depth. It makes things so much nicer. Okay, and here I have to do a little bit of color blending, so here we go. Alright, and because I already did kind of some of the atmospheric lighting for the ones further back, I already kind of know where some of these are going and what color that they have to be. And some of them will get special lighting just cuz. If it makes sense to me, then I'm gonna roll with it, so it'll be good. There we go, and let's see, so here needs a little bit of color wrangling. This one is supposed to go all the way up against this tree, but I erased a little bit too much. So let's fix that, get it just right. And I think most of these ones are looking pretty alright, so there we go. Yeah. This is looking a little better, I think. At least better than what I had before. Okay. Falling asleep. Alright. So let's see here. I think I need some bigger leaves here. Maybe not. I'm thinking about it. Like, do I want some more above Chibidoki's head, or do I just need to like round this out a little bit more and make it look like it's going a little further back? Yeah, you know what? That actually helps. So I'm gonna start with this. Because I guess I just feel like we're not seeing them from below well enough. So I'm just going to adjust their shapes a little. You know, I'm always surprised by how much these minor things make a difference. But yeah, that seems okay. Alright, let's go do the background leaves now. I think the trees all look okay. So let's see. Background leaves. There's just a lot of residue here, so let's just clear that before I start drawing them in. And these ones will all be small. These guys are just All the way in the back. And do I really have the mid-tone here? I do. Okay. It's amazing how color contrast can make things look so much darker. Okay, and I'll plop some leaves on here. And just... And maybe a couple. No. I'll leave that branch like that. And I'm just using one color for now, it's fine. So I'll just spend some time getting these shapes to my liking. And then I will put some light and dark on them. Mostly light, I think. I don't think these need a lot of dark. And the ones really close to the moon will get a little bit more additional lighting. Hello there, Protox. Welcome. Okay, I think I'm going to fill in that gap. And I think I want a little more leaf over here. And I will just kind of relax my hand a bit and let it wander around. Makes for good leaves, in my opinion. Relaxed hand that is able to do whatever the heck it wants. Yeah, I don't like that shape. It's kind of boring. It's too flat. Too square-like. But this seems okay, so I'll go ahead and roll with this. And then I'll just let my hand continue to wander around until I am happy with all the little bumps and whatnot that it has produced for me. And I still do want a little bit covering the moon, just not a lot. Not a lot at all. Okay, and I think that should look pretty good. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Looks good to me. And some of these closer trees, I might put a little bit of texturing on now that I look at them, but I think I'd like to finish off the leaves while I'm here. So I'll go ahead and grab my light color and just start painting over the areas that I think should be a little bit lighter. I want to zoom in a little bit here. Oh, I left some holes there. There we go. So I'll just start painting over the areas that I think should be a little bit lighter. And I want to keep everything bumpy and kind of indistinct. Because these leaves, they're far away. They're really far away. So I don't want them to have too many leaf shapes or anything. I just want them to have just a little bit of bumpy texture to it. This one I think should be entirely in light. So I'll just add just a few shadows to make things a little more interesting. But not a lot. Not a lot at all. So this is where I just kind of get to scribble a little bit. And it works. Scribbling is all I really need right here. And here I'm going to put a lot of light to separate it from the background areas. It'll help. And then at the end, all of this will get a nice blue overcoat to kind of pull it even further into the background. And you can see that a lot of my shapes are getting smaller and smaller. That's just because I think that the individual leaves here are very small. We don't see them all. We just see them as little kind of indistinct clumps like this when things get this far away. I might add a few dark areas just back there. Just because I don't really want to put too many little light areas back here. I think most of the light areas belong, you know, closer to the light source. Makes sense. I think, at least. Okay, and then maybe just a little bit right here, again, just as a kind of separation. But I think that's good, so I'll add a few dark spots. But not a lot. Just enough to make it clear that these are farther away than these, more or less. So I'll just go ahead and make the area furthest away from the light source kind of over here a little bit darker than everything else. And I think it's fine to be just a little bit scribbly. We'll see how I feel about it when I take a look at it at the end, but I think this is okay. Yeah, I think it's fine. Let's go ahead and kind of plop just all of this a little bit further back. So I'm gonna kind of brighten up just about everything. And then over on this side, I'm actually going to make these like a little darker. Since they're a little bit further away from the light source, and thus I think they will take more of the sky color as opposed to the moon color. Do a little bit over there. That over here too. So now I'm just going to go through and make sure that everything is kind of lit the way that I want. And yeah, I think we're getting somewhere. I think I want this top of this tree to be a little bit lighter, and thus the top of the branch of that tree as well. So kind of like here. I think I want the same for up here. So let's get that one. Which tree is that anyway? It's one of the ones over here. I'll find it eventually. Oh, seriously, where the heck is it? This is why it's important to name the layers. It's just, I don't know what to name these layers in a way that would not result in me having to hunt anyway. Life is hard. Okay, so I think that's about what I want for that area. Let me zoom in and make sure I don't have to do any lighting adjustments to the branches. And I do. Not that surprising, honestly. So I'll go ahead and just kind of paint over here with the color and the airbrush. This way I can kind of blend them together, and eventually the gaps will just kind of disappear. So there we go. Same with here. Just making sure I don't want to change anything else here. I kind of want over here to be a little bit lighter, I think. Or, you know, a little bit more in the moonlight. These guys are right there. And also the tree itself. Let's see, what tree are you? You're this one. Okay, I found it quickly this time. Okay. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and just add the slightest little bit of tree texture. I think some of these close trees could use a little bit of it. Just a little. And I'll fade it out as it goes up, so it'll be a little bit more noticeable as we're at the bottom. And then as it goes up, it'll start to go away. So I'll leave slight hints of it there. And then I'll just fade it out right up here. Okay, and I'll do the same with the branches. But I don't think I need anything too special. Just, you know, a slight hint I think will go a long way. I'm trying to keep it kind of fine and delicate, and even this might be a little bit too much contrast. So I'll probably pull it back just a little, but I just want to get it in real quick. And I'll worry about pulling it back once I'm happy. So yeah, I think that's okay now, so pull it back just a little. Pull it back just a little. There. So that should make it clear that this tree is much closer than a lot of the other trees. I'm going to do the same one up there. I'll just put a little bit of the darker color into the brights. Right, I have to find the right layer for that. I guess I'll do it in the order of the trees as I find it. I don't think this one needs any. I don't think that one needs any. That one doesn't. Which one are you? Oh, that one definitely doesn't. That one doesn't. This one could use a little bit. Okay. But it's going to be real faint. That looks fine to me. Okay, this is the tree I was looking for, so excellent. Finally got a hold of him. And I guess most of what's defining this one is actually in the branches. So I will plop just a little bit through here. And then I'm going to go up to his branch and get the rest. And I think that's pretty good. So I will leave it at that. Okay, so is that you? That one doesn't need any. I think this one could use a little bit. Nothing too thick or noticeable, but just a little. Actually, take your light color. It's a little bit brighter. There we go. That should be plenty. This one definitely needs some. And I will fade it out as it gets higher up. Let me just blob that in real quick. Okay. Now I will turn it into nothing. Just gradually get rid of it there, and I'm going to go back up to the branches. And kind of put in a little bit through here as well. This one I think I will fade a little bit. It's a bit too much. There. That looks pretty good. And I think this is the last tree that I need to look at, and indeed, I want to put a little bit on him too. Not a lot. This one will probably get faded. But I want there to be a little. Oh yeah, that definitely needs to be faded, but, you know, it's okay. I can do that. That just faded out a little bit here. Okay. And there we go. Now we got a little bit of texture on the trees, and I decided I want to fade here just a little bit. That was a little bit too much. But there we go. We got a little bit of texture on some of the closer trees, and none on the ones further back, so I think that kind of helps it too. And I actually think that's about it for the background there. Let's see, do I want to put a little bit more light on some of the trees? I think I do. Just want a little bit more light, like on this tree here. I'll go through each tree again and decide if it needs a little bit more light. Yeah, I think I went a little bit more up at the top there, but otherwise fine. Yeah, you're getting kind of faded in, so I'll make you a little bit lighter. Try to make some of the separation between the trees a little bit more obvious too. You, I think, are fine. This one I think is mostly fine. I'll just add a little bit more light right there, just a little. Yeah, I think you could use a little bit more on this side. And you, I think, could use a little bit more on this side too. Okay, and then I'll just go back and match the branches again. Sometimes I have to do these things a couple of times before I'm happy. And that's fine, I can do that. It's always nice to have absolute control over everything I'm making here, so anything that I feel like is a little bit off, I just go through and fix it up real quick. It's all good. And I will just make sure that all the branches kind of match the lighting of the tree that they were on. Even aside from just kind of blending them together, if there are a few places that I think need a little bit more light, based on what I did in other places, you know, I can just go and add it now. Just bring in everything into the final state. Okay. And I think that should be pretty good for the background. I think just as one more little thing, I'm just gonna bring another layer in here and just make the top here a little bit darker than it currently is. I just kind of feel like it's calling a little bit too much attention to itself, so we'll just add a little bit of, like, vignetting to the sides. I think I'm actually going to do that all the way at the top here. Okay. And now I'll go ahead and just do the last couple of things that I want to do with the background. I kind of want a couple more of these birds to have a little bit more light hitting them. So, like, over here on this wing. Oh, no, that's squirrels. Okay, here's birds. So just kind of a little bit more on this wing here. A little bit more on this wing here, and on the tail feathers too, actually. Okay. And then maybe a little bit more light on a couple of the squirrels. So like this guy's head, for example. Or this guy, just in general, this guy's little head. Try to make it a little bit more clear where the squirrel begins and the tree begins and that kind of thing. I don't mind the squirrels being a little bit hard to see back there. They're just a little bit more decoration. Okay, and I think I want to take a little bit of the atmosphere away from some of the burgers that the birds are carrying, actually. Okay. And now that that's been done, I think I want a little bit more light on this one. And maybe over here too. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same to these squirrel burgers. Just put a little bit of light just right over here. And right over here. Okay, and I think that looks pretty good. So I think the only thing that I really have left to do is to finish the lighting on Chibidoki. I'm gonna plop my swatch up there, get it off of her. And now we could make her look very nice. So let's see, where is my light? Here we are. So I'm gonna go fill in a few areas here. You know what, I'll just go ahead and fill in the whole thing. And then I'll decide which areas should be lit. Okay. So I want, like, everything on this horn to be lit, because I think its planes are pretty much directly heading over there. Not this side, but this side. I'll go ahead and light this bit of hair. And a lot of the stuff on the top here. I think most of the things on the top here should actually be pretty well lit. The light is coming from above, so I'll go ahead and erase the dark layer here, just on everything kind of at the top here. I think I'll keep the spot under the hair right there dark. I'll keep a little bit of dark around the burger itself. And then I want to make sure that her eyes are lit up pretty nicely. It doesn't strictly make sense here, but I don't care. It's all good. I can do what I want. Okay, I'm gonna light up the hair here. And I want to make sure that her hands are lit up. Pretty much the whole thing. I think I'll even light up this little bit of hair here. And a little bit kind of on her nose. And cheeks and anything that I think is facing upward. I'll go ahead and light that too. Yeah, same with this bit of hair, I think. So yeah, I'll light the whole eye. So I'll get kind of a face shape there. Okay, and then I'll just finish lighting the hair here. I'm not going to be too neat about it. I get the feeling I'm going to need a selection in order to get all that properly, so it's fine. So let's see, I'll get her hands, I'll get the ribbon part. I feel like this is facing upward pretty clearly. Just anything kind of facing upward or that I otherwise want to emphasize. Let's see, do I want to do anything with her lower body here? No, but I do think I want to get a little bit of that hair there. Probably a little bit more of this. Okay, I'm gonna zoom out, and yeah, I think those are the areas mostly facing the light there. And then I'll add a few brighter areas, and maybe a few darker areas, we'll see. But for now, I will clean up these shadows, especially around the hair. So I'm actually just gonna fill in everything around here again. Because that's a lot of little strands, and I will have to clear that. So I think it'll just be easier to do it via selecting the hair. I'll go ahead and start with kind of the skin around her nose and cheeks. Because that'll be nice and easy to do. And man, I think this little face is just so adorable. Just the kind of expression that makes you want to give her a hug. And I want to make sure that her cheeks look nice and round. I've never liked hot showers myself. I prefer them kind of lukewarm to cold. Anytime I have a hot shower, I just always feel like my skin is like one size too small after getting out, and it feels terrible. Alright, so now I'll just smooth out this area here. Smooth everything out on that little nose and cheek area. Get it all just right. So while I wasn't too worried about keeping things smooth for the leaves, I am very, very much wanting to have things smooth on her face. Faces should be nice and smooth. So I always just like to get it just right. And I said it before, and I still firmly believe it. You don't want to mess around when it comes to the face. You gotta make it just right. Okay, so is that like everything I want to do with the face? Yeah, I think so. I think that's about how I want to light it. Okay. The hands I should be pretty easily able to do without getting a bunch of selections, so I guess I'll just go ahead and do that. Although, you know, selections will probably make my life easier, so I'll just plop some shadows down around the edge here, and then I can just find the body layer. Actually, this should be fine. Yeah. And erase. Perfect. Fair enough. Okay, and I do think I want the little hands to all be lit, but I will put a little bit of shadow on the glove there. I think that's fine. Alright, let's get her other tiny little hand here. Actually, I need to paint around there, make sure that everything just outside of the hand here is lit the way I want it to. And I can just select the body again and erase the areas that I do not want to have any darkness in. So that'll be the entirety of her tiny little hand. Okay. And once again, I'll kind of keep that little petal dark, but most of this will be light. Okay, so that should make her hands very easy to see. And now I'll deal with the ribbon. So I'm going to make sure that the area around it is dark the way I want it to be. And then I will select the ribbon. I'll just select the ribbon this time and erase. Erase the parts that I do not want to be dark. Okay, and then I will just color in the rest of this, I suppose. Let's see. I don't want any dark spots on the brooch itself, but on these little ribbon tails, I think I want them to be entirely dark. Gotta bring all the attention to her cute little sad face. So that should be the area of highest contrast. Because that's one of the things that the human eye is most interested in. Just areas of high contrast. So, if I leave the face pretty contrasty, lots of light areas versus dark areas, people will be inclined to look there first. And their eyes will be inclined to linger there. And that's exactly what I want. Just a little bit of artistic mind control. You can do it as the artist. You have a little bit of control over what people do. Just ever so slight bit of mind control. It is wonderful. Okay. So there we go. I feel like her upper body and little arms are lit well. Nice and separated from the darker parts of her hair. And I guess I'll go ahead and get the little horns the way that I want them to be. Might as well do that real quick before I start getting into hair. Okay, that seems pretty good. We'll just clear all the shadows right through here. And I'll put a few back right through there. Okay. Well, it's fine. If people are tired, they should sleep. That is how I see it. I mean, like I said, if people are tired, they should sleep. So if they want to sleep, then they should sleep. There's no need to stop them from doing so. Okay. So now I think I can start worrying about the hair. Hair always takes a little bit to light properly. So I'll go ahead, select my hair layer, and I'll start erasing on places. Actually, I want the strands too, so I'll grab those. But yeah, I'll start erasing on places that I think should be in the light. So that is most of this top part here. And then I think the shadows start showing up, you know, right around here. Right around here. Yeah, no worries. Okay, I mean, as always, I think a stream should be fun. No need to stress about showing up all the time and staying here for the entire thing. There's VODs if you're curious about what happened. And even besides that, I will come back another day. So, you can always come back later. Come when it suits you best and you really want to watch. Alright, and when it comes to hair, I think I'm still going to add a little bit of hair texture So I want to bring out these highlights that I have drawn here a little bit more. So I will put the little bit of hair texture just right there. And just follow those highlights a little bit. So yes, this does mean that we are in hair take 3. Because you never escape anime hair. Never. It'll always come back to haunt you in the end. So I just want to add a few spots to make the hair a little bit nicer and more interesting, you know, as I do. I don't actually think I need it there. I changed my mind. But I will erase some of the shadows around here. Maybe. You know what? No, I changed my mind. I want this one to be in shadow. In fact, I want right around here to be in shadow too, so I will put that in as well. Man, I didn't even talk about onion rings today. Did my random mention of some of Courtney's accessories reminded me of onion rings. Just make you really want onion rings for some reason yesterday. Alright, I do think I will put a little bit more shadow underneath the burger here. Just as a little bit more separation, but the rest I will keep light. Okay, and then under here I think should be mostly dark. So I'll go plop a few shadows down here. Like, I can't help it. The way I was drawing them, it just immediately reminded me of onion rings. And I feel like half of streaming is just vocalizing your intrusive thoughts, whatever they might be. So there you go. Okay. That should be pretty good. I want some shadow on the cheeks here. And over here, make sure I get all those corners. That seems important too. Okay. So I think that's good for this side. I do have all of the shadows gone at this point. Okay, that's part of the other layer, so I'll worry about that later. Okay. Yes, now I can focus in on this side. I'll put a little bit of light on these little hairs here, but most of that's still going to be in dark. And about half of this will be in dark, and the other half will be light. Perfect. Okay, and I think that's pretty good. I don't think it really needs much more than that. And here I actually want to keep a little bit more in dark. Just because I want the hands to be considerably brighter than the hair around it. So I'm gonna bring some of the hair into the light, but a lot of it is still gonna be dark. A lot more than on the other side, just because of how the hand shape shook out. so here we go. I just want to get this shaped just right here. Go ahead and add just a little, I don't know, hair shape right there, and maybe down into here too, since there's a little bit of light down there. That should look pretty good. Not currently. Frankly, I'm somewhat terrified of the idea of moderating a Discord server, but it's been on my radar, so I'll say that much. If enough people want it and express interest, maybe I will consider it, despite me being utterly terrified of moderating one. Alright, I'll go ahead and put just a little bit more light in a couple of key spots. But otherwise, I think this is about where I will leave this. Okay. So I think that's the first layer of hair done. So all that's left is, like, pigtails. Let me see. Okay, no, this is part of the hair, that's right. Things that art make you say. It's like, of course this hair is part of the hair, but no, I meant it was part of the first hair layer that I had. Oh, well, I'll think about it, but I just... I get the feeling that I'll largely be involved no matter what I do. So, I gotta be prepared. Okay. Now I just gotta get this into nice hair shapes, and I think that'll be good. And I can go do the back hair. That one will be harder because I can't just select it easily. So I'm a little scared. Alright, make sure that all of this is in shadow here because I see that I missed a couple of spots. Alright, so how do I want to do this? I think I probably still want to select the hair and the loose strands here. I will just select the inverse. And that should let me mostly not affect areas that I don't want to be affected here. And just light the areas that I think could use a little bit more light, like the very top here. Okay. And I actually think that a few of the strands that I have over here, I will put a little... Actually, no, they're far enough away from the focal point. I'm just gonna leave them dark. Yeah. I'm just gonna leave everything over there dark. I thought about it, like it makes sense for the light to hit those spots, but I don't think I want it to. I think it would actually detract from my focal point in the middle. So I'll just go ahead and leave it like that. Add a few strandy parts here to make it look a little bit more like hair. Just some little triangles. All I really need. Well, that's fine, I think. So I'll do the same kind of over on this side. I think I'll keep this part mostly dark, but I do think it looks good with just a little bit of light on the top here. And I think I see some areas that I didn't smooth out because they were once covered by foreground. So I will go in and fix that in a moment here. So let's see. This will be on the twin tail. And just grab this color and kind of smooth out some stuff here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this whole area used to be covered up by foreground, so I just never had to clean it. So let's clean it now. There we go. That looks pretty good. So now I can go up to my lighting layer. You know, as you might expect, I've never watched that show either, because I barely watch TV at all. So I continue to be out of the loop when it comes to anything TV related. And then I see that I actually missed a couple spots over here, so I should fix those. I'm gonna find my hair layer and the strands. Go ahead and select them. And fill that in. And fill this in. There we go. So I think that's it for the basic shadows. Now this is the point where I can start making things real shiny. So this is where I start adding additional lights and maybe some additional shadows if I want to. And you know what? I think I do want a little bit of additional shadows. And I just want a little bit more darkness down at the bottom here. Just subtle. In fact, I think I want it even a little darker than that. Yeah, I know watch-alongs and stuff are common. I'd think about it, but I'm not sure how safe it is to watch, you know, copyrighted material on stream if I intend to archive it outside of, like, a members-only stream. I'd need to research how that works. Like, it's super easy if I'm just drawing something because, like, that's basically original content, but I don't know how it works with proper watch-alongs and whatnot. Alright, in the meantime, I think it's time for some color dodge. Here we go. Probably won't use this color. This color is a bit too light. I kind of want just like a dark yellow, I think. Maybe a little bit more toward blue than I normally would do, but I'll try a dark yellow first. Okay. So this is going to be areas more directly hit by the light. And yeah, as expected, I'm not really a fan of this color, so put a little bit kind of on her nose here. Down into the cheeks. I might soften that a little. I know people do, but that doesn't mean you can. Twitch is just that bad at moderation. And I know that some people have gotten bonked pretty horribly for doing watch-alongs on Twitch, so... Okay, so now let's get a better color here. Let's get a better color. Let's see. I'm going to use colorize just so I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Man, I actually had this pretty dang close to black, so I think things might be too light for proper color dodge. How about screen? Will that let me get a color that I enjoy? Let's find out. Because I do feel like I need a little bit more light in certain places. Alright, well, good night. I hope you're able to sleep. Okay. But yeah, I'm still not getting colors I like here, so maybe what I actually want is hard light. You know, it very well could be. But yeah, that definitely means that I have to put it in the realm of blues in order to make it look right. Otherwise, it won't. I kind of need it to be the same kind of blue as the moon. And I will definitely have to reduce the opacity on this. Okay. Well, before I reduce the opacity, let me get the color I picked. I will add it to the swatch, just so I don't drive myself insane later. There we go. And now I can adjust it to how I want it to be. This probably means I'll have a little bit less on her face. In the lower parts of her hair, this will probably be mostly reserved for up here. And I'm considering just mostly using an airbrush, but we'll see. I don't know. I guess that looks pretty alright. Just kind of brushing it over areas that I think it'll look good with. I think it'll actually look good over here. It doesn't really command attention, so that should look pretty good. And then I can maybe get a little bit of reflected light just in the shadows here, but I don't think I necessarily want to use this color. So I really would like this to be a little brighter than that. I just feel like it's making things a little bit too dark. Okay. This is the right color, but not for there. Okay. You know what? We'll use this for the reflected light. So that'll add a little bit more texture and stuff just for the areas in shadow here. Have a little bit more separation for things that I think are getting a little bit of extra light here. I think that'll be like this ribbon will have a lot right through here. I think that these will have a fair amount right through there. And, you know, maybe a little bit on the tails of this ribbon too. A little bit on the underside of the arm here, I think. And a little bit through the hair. So I think I might want this to be a little bit darker of a color as well, since I am moving it somewhere a little bit different. Desaturate it just a little. Okay, this does mean that I have a new color here, so let me replace the color I put on the swatch before I forget. Okay, there we go. And I actually think I will put a little bit on the chin. And like the side of the hair. Gracias. Okay, do I want a little bit in the tears too? Actually, that You know, not... I don't think it makes sense, but it looks really good, so it's fine. I'm gonna roll with that. Ooh, hold on. Be a little shadow in this strand here that should not be there. Okay. So now I just gotta go ahead and clean this up again. You know, as I always do anytime I put more stuff down. But I do think that this kind of little bit of extra lighting really can make things very nice, especially in places where I'm finding it a little bit hard to use bright lights for things. I used to be able to speak Spanish more fluently, but I am super rusty, so I don't trust myself to talk, but I can kind of understand people. So, I mean, if you want to write your comments in Spanish, I can mostly read it. I just lack the confidence with speaking right now to really be able to actually respond in Spanish. I really should work on my language stuff again. It'd be pretty nice to be able to respond to people in the languages that they actually speak. What is going on here? Oh, I have a little bit of dark overlapping on the ribbon. I don't want that. Okay, and I'll overcolor here, and I'll just use selections to kind of clear things to get where I want. I don't know, no, I don't want any on the math. Okay. I mean, personally, I find it a lot easier to type, too, but can't really type while I'm streaming. Or rather, I can, but not while I'm drawing. I need my hands for that, you know? Hands are kind of important for being able to draw the art. Okay, and I think I'll start with the lower body just because it's easier, and I can just, I don't know, do a lot with not very much effort, so here we go. I think I'm still on track for finishing the drawing today, so that'll be nice. I don't really want this light to be too thick here. Just a little. Oh, almost certainly, yes. I mean, the background was the last big thing I had to do. The rest is just lighting Chibidoki here. It's literally the last thing I have to do, and, you know, I have a little under an hour to do it. So, should be no problem, really. Okay. Clean out from under the ribbons here. There we go. And I do think that I still want some stuff kind of around her armpits and whatnot. Oh, I missed a spot when I was cleaning around the ribbon. Let's get that. There we go. So we'll just put a little bit of reflected light here. I think I'll put a little bit more on this side too, just kind of around the whole side there. I think that'll look nice. Okay, and that's like everything there. So now I can just get a little bit through here. Separate the ribbon from her lower arm just a little here. And from the hair. The arm from the hair here. Okay. And I'll do the same on this side, and then I will erase the areas that I don't want anything in there. So first, I'm going to grab the ribbon and erase this. I wouldn't know. I'm not where you are. How the heck did this get here? Gotta be more careful, man. Okay. Let's find the arms. And I can just kinda erase on the outside here. I don't want any through there. And I will even get started on the bit of hair here that I think should have some reflected light. Just kind of fill in some of these areas down here. Okay. So I guess I'm kind of lightly getting started on the hair, but that's fine. Hair is always the most time-consuming part. Okay. Now I can get back to lighting the arm. How do I want this to be here? I think that this should be pretty good. I'll let it kind of continue upward here and connect right through there. Nope, sure not. Oh, hold on. It looks like I accidentally left a little piece of shadow on the glove there, and I definitely don't want to do that. I want to be careful not to erase on the ribbon. So there we go. There we go. Perhaps. I mean, you do have to remember that I have a 3-year-old derping pretty hard upstairs. So... Most of the time, the mic is pretty good about not picking it up, but... And I do believe that to be true, considering how little people complain when I can hear him clearly, so... But, you know, the occasional bit of sound might get through. There's only so much I can do about it. Okay, now I will erase around the glove here. And I guess while I'm down here, I'll go ahead and do the hair in this area. Just while I'm here. Just so I don't have to come back and worry about this later. Sounds good to me. Looking out for my future self. Always do kind things to your future self. They will thank you. Alright, and yeah, I think I'll just take care of all this for now. That's probably about as... I'll clear the strand here once I get to the regular hair here. Well, you have to remember, I mean, I stream every day. You've been here for a while. This is the first time you've complained about outside noise. So I'd say that my filters are doing pretty good. Okay. So there we go. I think that is like the entirety of the lower body here, so all that's really left is hair. Let's see. Let's find the hair here. Front. There. So I'll start here. I don't actually think that there's going to be that much going on there. Do I want any light on here? No, I don't. Okay. Well, that makes life easy then. I guess I'll go ahead and erase on this. That's part of the same layer. I thought they were part of different layers. I thought that I'd be able to have an easier time here. Alas. I must be precise. No, it's okay. I can do that. Okay. So I don't think I need anything down here or anything. Ah, I see. Yeah, see, I have the advantage of being married and having another person that is responsible for the tiny human. So he just kind of hangs out with his dad while I'm doing this. Let's see here. I think I can do that. This way I will not color in on the arms. I should do it with the ribbon too. Okay. There we go. This should keep everything pretty safe. This way I won't color on top of things I don't want to color on. There'll be just a little bit of light coming right through here, making things look a little bit nicer, blending her in with the background a little bit better. All that good stuff. I guess I'll go ahead and color in these strands too. And let it kind of come up through here. I think that'll look nice. Put a little strand right there, and that should be perfect. At least I think so. Actually, I changed my mind. I don't want it there. I do want it down here, though. Maybe just go it up there a little bit. Okay, yeah, that should be good. I've already gotten down there. I don't really feel like I need any further up, so most of this is just, you know, for a lower body. And I'm fine with that, so let's just go ahead and finish it out. I'll color in that strand there. I'm just kind of checking the upper areas here. Okay. Grab these again, just so I can color in this area and get it the way I want. I'm just gonna plop some color all the way through here. Really separate it from the front hair. That's what this kind of reflected light is really good for. Just making it clear which stuff is further in front and which stuff is further in back. So, I always like being able to do that. So, let's see. Yeah, I don't want any here. None at all. I do want it on this little loose strand. And then we'll have a little bit just down here, I guess. I think I'll actually draw it like this. Just kind of blew up this entire area. I do love when I can finally add the atmospheric lighting. It just looks so good. I mean, look at that thumbnail. I will zoom out momentarily, but it's already just looking so good. I might not need to add that much light, actually. Things may be bright enough. We'll see. I kind of like to add just a little bit of colored light. But I wasn't really able to get it to work. So who knows? Maybe this is just all I need. Oh yeah. Look how much better it looks. I mean, this is... Without it, it's like she doesn't blend in at all. It's just so bright, and then I just plop these on, and man, the difference, it's huge. I want a little bit of light in the tears here, since I plopped it there. Just go ahead and try to get it looking right. Clean it up. Make sure that I'm happy. Okay, I'm gonna have to select the hair for this again. Because the hair is just everywhere. You can never escape the hair. Never. You're not allowed. Not when you draw anime girls. Okay. So, now I really want to see if I can add just a little bit of bright light here. I might not be able to, but I will try. I don't know, maybe if I grab the dark color on the moon, will that look good? No, that looks awful. What if I just set you to overlay instead? I do need a darker color, but I'll try something kind of in this realm of color and see if I can find something that looks nice. I don't know, man. I'll try. It just might not need it. I just really, really like lights. Lights are awesome. They make me happy, so... Well, we'll see if I can find something I like. Well, I mean, to be fair, those colors up there are just a swatch. They're gonna get hidden. Is there a color that I like the look of? Normally this is where I like add yellows and stuff, but I just don't think yellows really work. Like, the light here is blue. But I don't really like the way the blue looks. I don't know, is green okay? Let me see, is this better or is it worse? No, I just don't like it. I don't. Okay, so yeah, I think that's probably all the light. I will go ahead and hide the swatch for your pattern recognition's sake. And, let's see. I think I might add a little bit of motion blur around her hands. I was thinking about doing that earlier. So let's see what I can do there. Well, I suppose that's a little bit better, maybe. Okay, so I'm gonna duplicate the relevant layers, put them together, and then... It's like I could do motion blur, but I think I'm just gonna use the regular old smudge tool for this. I don't know, did that do what I wanted? Not really. Needs a little more flail. Let's pull some this way too. And then if I'm gonna do this, I probably have to blur the gloves themselves a little. Okay, so I'll duplicate the layers again. But this time I have to keep them on top. So I'll do the same thing. And I can just erase or lower the opacity of anything that doesn't work for me, so that's always a plus of doing it on a separate layer. I kind of hate it, so you know what? Maybe we won't do that. Okay, I definitely hate this one, but let me see how I feel about the other one. No, I think it's better without it. Okay. Alright, seems like a good idea if you're tired. When you're tired, you should sleep. I think those are good rules to live by. Don't worry, I will be posting this on the internet just like everywhere in a few days, so you'll still get to see the finished version. Okay. Now I think I just have to kinda apply some of these colors and stuff to the other layers and whatnot. So you too, sleep well. Just because I don't think that they'll blend in very well unless I do, so well, we'll go ahead and add some of this reflected light to some stuff here. Up in the foreground here, it's going to get blurred, so I'm not going to be very particular. Not at all. Okay, so I'm going to blur the heck out of that. Honestly, probably should have just drawn it with an airbrush, it's fine. And we'll put a little bit on bird here. Here, I'm going to have to be a little bit neater, so here we go. Oh yeah, that's right, the burger itself is also part of the foreground. Okay, we'll plop some reflected light down here then. And I'll get some in the wings. Actually, I don't know if I like it in the wings. I like it in the body, but I don't think I do in the wings. So I'll go ahead and get rid of it there. But I do like a little bit of the reflected light in the burger. So this works for me. This works for me. And I do like it in the body. So I'll still keep it there too. But I don't want it in that part of the burger, so I will erase there. And then I think that I will paint it in the legs here. No, that doesn't look good, actually. I changed my mind. Okay. I think I'll just leave it like that. Okay. And then in the background, I guess I'll put a little bit, like, on the birds and their burgers stuff. Just because I think it'll look a little bit weird without it. Yeah, maybe not on the ones nearby, but, like, over here. And then, like, on the... Do I want any on the birds? No, I don't think it needs it, really. The squirrels, maybe. Where are my squirrels? But even then, I don't think I'm gonna put very much here. Just like a little bit of blueness just in the background here, just to stop it from standing out quite so much. Kind of over here, too. Okay. And that should be good there, but the area that I really thought needed it was actually the trees. But even that, I'm only going to do with an airbrush. Just at the bottom here. Let's see, you're on top of everything, right? Yeah. Okay. So kind of the opposite of the lights I've got going on a little bit further up. Okay. Let's see, do I think I need anything else here? No, I think this is looking pretty good. So I think this is about the end. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start kind of my color correction stuff. So the first thing I like to do, let's get this where I can see a little better, is I'm gonna blur it. Just gonna blur the whole thing, make it a certain level of blurriness. There we go. And then I'm gonna take my airbrushed eraser and just erase the parts that I want to be a little more clear. Which, you know, is going to be most of it, but this just will blur parts that are not super focal, and I think it just makes things look a little bit more interesting. So I want to make sure all the birds and squirrels are visible. The moon is visible. But you can see I'm leaving like certain parts like her hair here, and certain parts of the forest on the sides. All of those will be a little bit more blurry, but just a little. And if you, yeah, you can't really see it, my head's in the way, but I did erase most of that. Okay, and then I do it again. I paste the entire picture, and I'm gonna blur it again. But this time a little bit less. And then I'm gonna add it to soft light. I just think that this can bring out the colors a little bit more. How much I set the opacity to really depends on the picture. This one I think is looking pretty good at about 40, and you can see a quick before and after. The lights are a little bit lighter, the dark's a little bit darker. And because it's blurred, I think it just makes everything look a little bit dreamier. I'm not sure how to describe it, but I think it looks nice, so I like to do that. Okay. So next, I'm going to add a filter layer, and this is going to be color adjustment, which is curves in like every other program. So I'm just going to darken the darks, lighten the lights a little bit. I actually don't think this needs very much change here. That's even a little bit too dark. So I'll plop it there. Seeing if I like it. Yeah, I think I do. Alright, and the last one is going to be color balance. So that's another filter layer. And so this just lets me kind of alter the colors on the whole thing a little bit. Most of the time I don't need to do that much, but, you know, I often do a little bit. So I always consider it worth just taking a quick look. And here it's looking like the highest one that I have moved over is I moved one to -3. For the most part, they really are about the same. Colors is one of the areas that I consider myself the best at, so I don't normally have to change it that much. But nonetheless, I do kind of like the background being a little bit bluer. So I think that works out. It's very subtle, but I do see it. And I think that's it. So before I post things anywhere, what I like to do is sleep on it for a day and see if I want to make any changes. Generally, there is a change or two I want to make, and in fact, I already see a minor error here. This should not be dark. What are you from? Okay, that was the foreground. Getting all my layers confused here. Oh no. Where's my dark on Chibi? Okay. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, there's generally a thing or two I'd like to correct, but frankly, they tend to be so small that I don't think it's worth streaming for 2 minutes to fix it, so I generally just do it off stream. But if there's something big where I just look at this and I'm just like, holy cow, I need to like change a whole thing, I'll stream that. But otherwise, if I just end up making small corrections, I'll probably just leave it at that. Okay, no, there's one more thing I want to do. On this foreground bird, I think I would like to add a little bit of light to him. I think he's a little dark. Just in the wing here especially. Okay, and this is small enough that I don't really think I need to go back and edit the places where I copy and pasted the whole picture. I think this looks fine. But yeah, I think that's what I wanted to do, and just giving it one last look over here. I think some of these birds might be a little bit too dark, so I'm gonna pull back the dark on the birds here. And maybe light them up just a little bit more. Alright, bird group, where are you? I feel like they're an important part of the story, so I want to make sure that they are reasonably visible. So I just feel like this guy is a little dark. I want him to stand out a little bit more. Same with this guy. This one I think is okay, but I will light up these guys just a little bit more so we can see them just a little bit better. This guy I think looks okay. Alright, and like I was saying before, I noticed a couple of things I wanted to fix. What I do is I sleep on it for a day, I look at it the next morning, make whatever minor corrections I want, and then I post it. Except with these, I like to make a time-lapse with them, so it'll probably take me a little bit longer to do that. Someday I would like to do a voiceover for my time-lapses, but frankly with Inktober and now NaNoWriMo going on, probably won't have time, but I will have an accompanying time-lapse for this, so it might be a couple of days before I finally post it. But yeah, that's what I'll do. I think that this one is done. So next week, there'll be a new picture. I'll have to think about what I want to draw. I think I'm probably going to want to capitalize on Tay's Saga debut hype, because man, has that been pretty fun so far. And then I can just, I don't know, make some nice pictures. I've also been thinking about trying to find some random 2-view VTubers that probably don't get very much art and drawing some stuff for them, because Man, I have to admit, getting that one person, that first piece of fan art for me was pretty awesome. So, you know, being able to make some nice things for some smaller VTubers might be fun too. But I will think about it. I've got 12 hours maybe. Actually, not even that long before I make my schedule. But there we go. I think this one is done, and I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's pretty cute. Doing Chibidoki and with a depression theme, not super easy, but I think I managed to get it in a way that actually suits her kind of content and suits her, and that's what's important to me. So I'm happy. I like this one. I think it's very cute. And I don't normally draw chibis, but I think I managed to make her look pretty cute too. So I am very pleased, but I think this is where I will be stopping for today. So thank you all for coming, and I hope you're able to make something wonderful today. I will see you all tomorrow.